Hello, I'm Nigel Pell-Ilderton. The children know me here as Mr. PI because they can't pronounce Pell-Ilderton. I'm the principal of Monkstown Community School and have been here since October last year, so I'm about 5 months into my time as principal. To become a principal, you need a variety of qualifications, but first and foremost, you need the normal stuff to be a teacher. So you need a degree at the appropriate level and a teacher training qualification. Most of the other qualifications are to do with experience and ability in certain areas, but also in Northern Ireland there's a qualification called PQH, which stands for the Professional Qualification for Headship, which is one of those desirable criteria. I have the English equivalent of that, which is called NPQH, because everything's slightly different in Northern Ireland from England, and that stands for the National Professional Qualification for Headship, which I passed the other year. But I recognised early on in my teaching career and in my previous job, because I was in the forces teaching adults, that I had other skills to offer beyond just teaching, and I enjoyed doing those as much as I did teaching, so I followed a promotion route, doing various bits and pieces until finally here I am as a principal. I believe that there needs to be male role models in all forms of education, particularly in primary education, where quite often there tends to be mainly female teachers and female other staff in that school. I believe that both boys and girls need to have male role models, because otherwise they get a very lopsided view of life if they don't have those males in that particular school as well. I think particularly when you're dealing with some boys, because you are where they will become. They won't always listen to you because, you know, you're 30 odd years older than them in my case, but particularly for some of our younger male staff, and that doesn't just mean teachers, it could mean mentors or youth workers, because we have a youth club here as well. If they can see somebody who's just a couple of years older than them, who explains what it's like, and I was like this and then realised that I need to do this, or these positive things happened in my life because of this, I think it definitely helps, because many of the boys will think, oh, you're a woman, you won't understand, and likewise many of the girls will think similarly but the other way around. So I think it's vitally important to have both male and female role models so that we can break some of the sex stereotypical behaviour. I think there probably are still some very dinosaur-like people out there who feel certain jobs are only for women, certain jobs are only for men. So there are people like that, although I believe things are changing over the last few years with more and more people realising that any job is open equally to men and women, and especially in teaching.
Hi, my name is Neil Watkins. I've been here for 13 years. This is Monkstown Community School. I teach maths every day, Monday to Friday. I teach a range from year 8s right up until some sixth formers who are doing reset maths, so year 8, year 9, year 10, year 11, year 12, up to year 13. Year 13s are doing reset maths. First things, there's no such thing as a typical day. The average day, I'm in school about 8:15 in the morning, sort of thinking about what I'm doing for the day, either marking a set of homeworks, doing some photocopying on the computer, trying to print off what I need. I've got, on average, 5, maybe 6 classes in a day, so there are 6 teaching blocks to think about what the children are doing, what I want them to do, what resources I need handy. In between times there is homeworks to mark, there's exam things to mark, there's preparation to do. I have other jobs in the school as well. I'm a year head for pastoral groups, so there's always parents on the phone, maybe first thing in the morning, somebody wanting release for a hospital appointment or a dentist appointment, or children who need to be followed up from the previous day. And I'm also in charge of handing out cover for absent colleagues at the same time. So I get busy in the mornings with phone calls to anybody who's not able to make it into school that day and trying to find supply teachers. That can take up to about 8:45, 10:50, and then we have registration and assemblies. And then teaching starts 9:05. So it depends on the timetable. It could be straight into classes and classes all the way through. On an average day, it's probably a couple of classes and then a break, and then a couple of classes and then lunch and a couple of classes in the afternoon. But it can be just continuous from 9:15 to 3:15. But on most days, you usually get at least one free period somewhere in the night where you can relax or finish off your mark or whatever it happens to be. I think people view teaching as rather a female-orientated environment, particularly in primary schools where most people would be female teachers. There aren't very many male teachers in primary schools. I know there's been a lot of work recently identifying a shortage of male teachers, particularly maths specialists in primary schools. Maybe in secondary and grammar schools you get more 50-50 split. But I still think teaching is viewed as a female profession. And some people do have a second thought and think, why would a man want to be a teacher? From society's point of view, I don't know. I think society takes us all equally. I think they take, a teacher, rather if they're good or bad, rather than if they're a man or a woman. I think the first thing is, are you a good teacher? Rather than if you're a man or a woman. From the children's point of view, I think some of them prefer a male teacher. Some prefer a female teacher. I don't know. You'd have to ask. Individual children respond differently to individual people.
I think you do work hard, and there's no question about it. It's simply not a case of arriving in sort of 9 o'clock and finishing at 3 o'clock. We all know that already. There's lots of hours of planning. After school meetings are becoming more and more kind of commonplace. And certainly as head of department, you've got your additional responsibilities, managing the department, and that again requires you to be, I suppose, in school. I arrive actually quite early in the morning. I'm here 7:15 in the morning, in actual fact, and quite often don't leave until 5 in the evening. But then having said that, then most of the evening, because I do my work in school, most of my evening is to spend time with family, quality time, plus weekends, and the holidays, of course, you cannot deny, are absolutely fantastic. I suppose the most important thing with mixed ability is pitch the work appropriate at the pupil's level. And for those that find it too easy, obviously, give them something else to work at. For those that are finding the task, if it's too difficult, obviously find ways, techniques, strategies that will help them, achieve the objective.
Hello, my name is Paul. I've been a teacher in Monkstown here in TD department for just around 6 years. Before that I was subbing for a year as well. So I've been a teacher for 7 years. Before that I was an engineer, I was a chartered engineer with Bombardier. Worked in Belfast, but travelled to Canada, England and around Europe, different projects that I worked on. But in that time I'd also involved in training of other engineers, and I was involved in voluntary youth work. So I thought, all right, time of life, if I'm going to make a change to teaching, which I wanted to do, it was time to do it then. I said you do need to be structured, you do need to have routines, you do need to let them know who's in command. That's the first thing you need to set down with the new class. But once that's established, you can then move into letting them discover more to learning themselves. If I find if you stand and talk to them and tell them things, they'll forget very quickly, or they won't understand. But if you let them discover things and ask questions and get things wrong, then they'll understand a lot more when they do get it. So try and get them to discover their learning as much as possible. It has to be the children, because if the subject comes first, the children are not going to enjoy it. It has to be about their pace of learning and their background, so try and relate their learning to their everyday experiences. So technology is very much about the materials and the world around us, and how the machinery and everything's invented by man has impacted on our lives. And the only way to get that across is to make them look at how their lives have been changed and what technology they have around them. So it really has to be about the child and how they learn and what they're coming in with. I've managed to encourage a couple of girls into doing technology and design, because the image is it's a boy's world, and it's not. I've worked with engineers, ladies who were engineers, and they've been very, very good at it. They bring a different perspective. So there have been a number of girls in other schools where I've managed to encourage them into doing technology and design and go on to consider roles in engineering. There's also been a few boys who, when they come down here, sometimes they're here because they think it's very much a practical, they can't do any of the academic subjects. They do discover that they can learn. Well, I've always been interested in sport. From an early age I've always been cycling, so I've been involved in different cycling clubs. I like the outdoors, mountaineering and canoeing, all that kind of stuff. So since becoming a teacher, I've had the opportunity, this is one of the things I really enjoyed about it. I run what we call the Monkstown Adventure Club, and we do a bit of canoeing, and I'm now a qualified instructor for that, which the school paid for, which I'm very grateful for. I've also taken them out, we run the National Navigation Award Scheme, which I'm qualified to do, again because the school allowed me to do the Mountain Leader Award, and I'm also a national instructor for the National Standards of Cycling. So I take kids out every year in the summer, and we do on-road cycling, we take them on journeys, that kind of thing. So that has been fantastic. I'm able to bring out groups of kids into the mountains, out cycle along the cycle paths, down to the rivers and lakes to go do a bit of canoeing, and they really enjoy it, which just widens their whole view of the world, really. It's fantastic, really enjoy it. When you go for an interview, prepare properly. You're going to come up with the standard questions. I used to mind map them out. I would put down the topic on a piece of paper, And then, right, discipline's going to be asked about, how you prepare, your routines, how you manage and encourage good behaviour are going to come up, how you're going to teach your subject.
My name's Richard Johnson and I'm currently teaching in Collybaggy High School. This is my second year here. I joined last September. Currently I'm teaching all the sciences right up to double award, and I also teach A-level health and social care. The main reason I wanted to become a teacher was because whenever I was third year at my old school, which was really endowed in Muckerfelt, I had a young teacher come in by the name of Mr. Kilpatrick, if he happens to see this, and just, he was brilliant. You know, I just thought, that's fantastic. You know, he got on so well with us and I really could relate to him, and I thought if I could return that even to one child, it would be great. And that's probably the reason I'm sitting here today, is because of him. The other reason is because when I was doing my Queen's Badge throughout the BB, I worked with Anchor Boys and also the junior section, teaching them RE and so forth, and I just loved, you know, the responses that I got from them and sort of the fun and the smile you could put on their faces. Same with any student I've come across now. I enjoy that wee bit of so-called banter with them. I think it's very important, especially for males, because if he hadn't come along, probably all my teachers today had been females. I probably would have thought, no, teaching's sort of a girly job sort of thing, rather than, and I probably would have thought to myself, no, I'm definitely not getting into it. But if he was in it, it definitely encouraged me to change my minds and thoughts towards teaching because of him. As I say, I had worked with just Anchor Boys, which is what, 4, 5, 6-year-olds in junior section up to about first year, and that instantly told me I wasn't meant to be a primary school teacher, because it's not that I didn't get on with him, the stuff was too simple and I wanted to get into more complicated stuff. And that sort of, if you are going to decide to be a teacher, it's important to realise whether you want to be secondary or you want to be primary, because it's two different styles of teaching altogether, so it is. And I think having that wee bit of experience made me make my mind up that PGC secondary was for me rather than a PGC in primary. The most enjoyable part of my job is probably seeing them just get it. And you know, you can almost see the light bulb come above their head when they understand it. And you know, when they really, really do enjoy something, you can see the smile on their faces and they're laughing and they're getting on and so forth. And of course, whenever it comes to test day, whenever they're coming out with their 80s and 90%, that's really, really encouraging. Or even, you know, if a child's capable of 40%, 50% and they're getting that, then I've clearly done my job, which is probably the most enjoyable part of doing it. At the moment, I'm involved in Army Cadets, which runs on a Wednesday night from 7 to 9:30. Basically what we do is we teach the kids things like drill, and we teach them you know, map reading and first aid. And then, for example, on Sunday past there, we had them up at RAF Aldergrove, where they got to see the bomb disposal squad, and they got to see the police helicopter and the police attack dogs. They got to see first aid, the fire engine, the police, everything, and that's fantastic. Like, so it is, and it's great skills to have in life for their CV and so forth if they can put those, you know, those things on it, sort of thing. The number one tip for interview from my own experience is be yourself. Make eye contact with everybody, and don't tell something that's not true, because they will find you out on it. Just be yourself, because at the end of the day, that's all you can do. So you can, is just be yourself.
The best thing for me is getting to work with young people. It keeps you young at heart, working with them every day. It's a great career. There's plenty of progression routes into other jobs, into higher up in schools, into management positions. And the third thing probably would be, you're a large organisation with colleagues that are all committed to the same purpose. They all want to work with young people, help them achieve their best. In school we have a lot of extracurricular activities. We do musical productions every year, we have choir, we have orchestra. I've helped out with all of those. We do a lot of rewards, a lot of school trips, the ski trip. We do induction in Year 8 for the new Year 8 pupils, and then all the reward trips, shopping trips, and nights out and stuff for some of the pupils, informal, that type of thing. The biggest challenge was the numbers. You know, they were taken in to the business management degree, which I did. There was about 30 in my class, but they had double the number applying, so it was that how you made yourself different to others. And it was very much, I think, that gets you in is where you have extracurricular things outside of school. You know, everybody's applying with the same A levels, whatever the grades are to get in. But if you can make yourself stand out either in societies outside of school, church work, youth club work, sports, I think that's getting that thing onto your CV, even for any job I suppose now, for universities is that tight for places, and with the fees going up, it's making it a lot more competitive. So I think you need to show that you're not just, you know, very studious, straight grades, it's that you're more to you than just learning. The biggest change for us in school has been much more active learning. It's a big thing. I was in charge of introducing the revised curriculum for thinking skills and personal capabilities. It takes a wee while to get it set in. We've worked hard here in school. We took 2 or 3 different skills every year, tried to embed them into our curriculum, but it's much more an active learning, much more hands-on. It's less sitting regimented rules and just textbooks. It's all outside, getting them out into the world of business, seeing what really goes on, showing them how they use the stuff that they're learning. And it takes a wee while because you're always, the fear is that the exams haven't changed in line and you're teaching the revised curriculum, but when they come to do the final GCSEs or A-levels, that they're still expected to know the content. But it has changed more. The content for a lot of courses has changed. The schemes and units of work have all been remodified, but still it takes a wee while to get into it. But definitely, I think the staff in school find it much more enjoyable teaching because they can be more creative, they can do more active learning, and I definitely think it has benefited the pupil.
I have to say the biggest advantage I have is having fun. I really enjoy being a teacher. It's something that I have a laugh with every child that I teach. I try to tell student teachers when they come in to observe, the most important thing is to have fun. Teaching can be an exceptionally rewarding environment. Dealing with children, every individual child is different. And if you're lucky enough to have the same child for 4 or 5 years in a row, you can actually see them mature, you can see them grow, you can see them make the connections, you can see them develop into the young adults that you know they'll become at some stage. The holidays are very good, I have to say. I wasn't always a teacher. I used to work before teaching in retail and business, so I mean I very much enjoy the holidays. I enjoy the regularity of Monday to Friday and knowing that you'll have certain holiday times and you'll have weekends and things like that to do from that point of view. So my number 1 tip would be to try to speak simply. Try to imagine you're talking to a parent of somebody who's in your classroom and try to explain it in terms that the parent would understand. Teaching's full of lovely words like, you know, didactic and all things like that, all the big words that we use to each other to make ourselves sound smart, but parents don't understand that. They want to know how that affects their child or their person who's in front of your classroom.
My name's Alistair Brown. I'm a first-year student in Stranmillis studying secondary maths and science. Well, I've always wanted to be a teacher, sort of from when I was younger. I always sort of aspired to be a teacher, and I think sort of it would give you a great feeling of accomplishment, sort of passing on knowledge to pupils and stuff, and maybe inspiring them to go do something great in the community. Well, studying a teacher, you're in a class and you're all in the same position, you're all learning to be teachers, and I find this is good because you can discuss with each other about different learning techniques and teaching styles and stuff to develop in the class. But also in first year we're paired, so I find this is here useful, sort of to break us in, if you so say, and it's easier so you can kind of pair plan and things like that.
I'm Matthew and I'm in my 4th year at Stranmillis. I'm studying RE with the PE as my subsidiary, and I'm currently on my placement in Monkstown Community School. Well, I'd say the most challenging aspect of my course is probably the placement period. It's whenever you're actually chucked out there in the school and you have to be able to basically sink or swim, and I have found it very productive, but also the most challenging part of the course. I'd say one of the key things is organisation, being able to organise yourself and to basically be prepared for most eventualities that may occur. I'd say make sure you like kids for a start. Also be prepared for the unexpected. I think it's important for pupils to have both male and female role models. Say especially maybe with society at the moment, maybe there's people who are pupils coming in who maybe their dad doesn't live with them, maybe their mum doesn't live with them, and that's the only chance to maybe have a role model of that missing gender. So I would say it is very important, yes.
I'm a physical education teacher mainly, but I take religious studies, which is good because you're then in the classroom and they can see you in a class as well as outside, and I find that very refreshing as I help them to think about life and what it's all about and why we're here. Also, I'm in charge of badminton and tennis in the school, so in the winter time I organise all the badminton matches for boys, and in the summertime organise all the tennis matches. My other duties would include being a member of the careers department, so in a sense all that we do in school relates to what they're going to do in the future, and for me that's such an important part of what they do in school here, and I've been very fortunate to be able to help and direct young people as to what they might do in the future and discuss with them what they think they'd be best at. As a male teacher, I think communication is the key. If you get on well with young people and communicate with them, you will have certainly less problems discipline-wise in class. And it is important that you can communicate your subject because we're still in a situation where we do it through subjects. And so communicating your subject and encouraging people in your particular area to develop that and go to higher levels is something that is absolutely key. Certainly communication, knowing your subject and being able to discipline and keep young people on track. I think the young people themselves would see the need for young males. As far as I'm aware, it seems that very few primary schools now have male teachers, and that's sad for me. And I certainly wouldn't like a similar situation to start developing in secondary school. So I think it is very important, and I think all stakeholders in this particular area would see that it is vitally important that we encourage males into the profession. Since I've come to Sullivan, there have been a drop of about 30% of male teachers, and there are fewer and fewer coming in. And my message would be, please think about it. It's a great career. You will have great fun. You won't be a millionaire, but you will have great satisfaction. And I would encourage young men out there to think about this and to come to a conclusion which they will not regret. What I would say is you need to be organised. You need to read what the job description is and base all your answers around that, because that's what they are looking for. And you need to put your best foot forward by being confident in your interview. I would also say a little bit of humour helps, because it also lightens the atmosphere. So if you can give an example of something that's happened in the class, that can actually help you to relax, and maybe even those who are questioning you to relax with you.
Hello, I'm Robert Young, Deputy Head in Collybackie High School. I was appointed here in 1998, having served previously in Ardnavey High School in Antrim and Glengormley High School. I think I have the best of both worlds as Deputy Head, because I have remained as a classroom teacher. There has never been any year at all when I haven't been standing in front of children and young people. English was my specialist subject, and I suppose continues to be. Although I have found of late that you would be asked to teach, for example, ICT or RE, and I'm quite happy to do that. My first love is in the classroom, and it is there working with the children. A good teacher has got to like children and young people, got to enjoy their company, got to be able to accept them as they are, and to realise that they're not always going to be perfect. They need to have a love for their subject, but their first love should be actually interacting with the kids themselves. I don't think any teacher can be a good teacher if they don't actually like children. It would be an absolute impossibility. Particularly in this day and age in which we live, if you're to look at the rules of any primary or secondary level school in Northern Ireland, you're going to find that a large number of children are being brought up by single parent families. And as often as not, those single parents are female. Some of these young people are lucky enough to have a grandfather, for example, in the home who can fulfill that particular male role. But for too many of our young people in society today, male role models can actually be much less than positive. They can set scenes of walking away, of being more interested in themselves and in the children. So there is a huge importance for young men to enter the teaching profession these days and be a positive role model, particularly for the young men who are in school, but also in many cases for the young ladies, for them to experience the company and the tutelage of a safe male. My number one tip for interview is to remember that each job is unique. To prepare a one-off interview and thinking it's going to fit all is a nonsense. If you're looking for a job in a particular school, you need to find out about that school, its enrolment trends, read past ETI inspection reports, know what its strengths are, particularly find out what the particular job that you're applying for involves. Are there going to be extracurricular duties expected of you? So my number one tip is really know the job and the school you're applying for.